BeastNet Podcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Pretty Mike, and today on the episode with me, I have with me Julie Phy. Julie, remind everybody who you are.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me on. I am the race director and president for Phoenix Race Obstacle Course Racing and Addicts Companies.
Nice, and it's so amazing to have you on. How have things been going? It's been a little while since we talked.
It has. It's been very, very busy. We're doing all kinds of different things now. Of course, we still do our obstacle course racing. We do a lot of road racing, and then I'm involved in a lot of some of the sportswear brands. So yeah, it's life, got married since the last time
Yes,
we chatted. And
which, like I said, congratulations. So
thank you.
Jason's a
And
lucky guy.
he is. And I'm lucky too. Now we're a family of
Yes,
5 under one roof. So there's, been a little bit of an adjustment, but we're there.
I'll be honest, I don't miss those days. I'm glad all mine have grown up and moved on.
Always love to be at home.
I always loved having them at home, but it was one of those things. It was just kind of one of those freeing feelings when all of a sudden. And I mean, as most people know, the day like our son said, "Hey, I'm moving out," we're like, "Cool, sell the house, let's go." And we left to Texas, so we're like, "We're out." So, um, yeah. So, what other stuff? I mean, what races do you got coming up?
We're really excited about the big national championship race that we're
Yes.
hosting for the USAOCR,
Hmm.
and it's going to be a 2-day event, and it is a qualifier for the Team USA 2025 to be able to compete next year in Sweden. So, we have age group and elite heats that will the top folks in each of those will top podium in each of those will qualify for the 2025 team. Then we also have the para heat, which we're very excited about, being the very first ever competitive para athlete OCR. Um, we have put a lot into that. We're really, really pumped to bring that to the sport. And then we have the 3K and the 15K. So they're on 2 different days. And then we also have our normal local race that is typically in Chattanooga. We combined it with the national championship this year so
Hmm.
that some of the locals could come out and see and support some of the more competitive athletes that are going for Team USA. And so that's going to be Saturday afternoon. So realistically, you have a chance to do 3 races in one weekend.
That's awesome. And I know the pair. I'm really excited about that when I talked to the OCR twins
Yes.
not too long
Yes.
ago. Had them on, and D and Alex, and that was a blast. So that was a blast talking to them and finding out the rules and kind of how, which a lot of people don't think about that in the background when you set up stuff like this, like the OCR championships and all that. You have to set ground rules
Yeah.
for how things are going to go. So people are like, "Oh, hey," and that was one of the times to hear how the rules are being raised.
Yeah, the schematics and the logistics and everything that has went into this event have been happening since February of this
Mhm.
year. We literally meet 5 times a month to work on the event and work on the rules and outlining everything that needs to happen in order to make this an event which is standardized and falls in line with the World Federation, which obviously the end goal for everything is to make OCR an Olympic sport and really bring the sport back to what it was in the early 2012 to 2015.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I mean, like I said, I love the organization of it because that was kind of the one things you saw quite a bit. You like I said, 2012, 2015, 2015, 2016 is when I really started getting into it. Um, but there was a huge gap between races. Like you'd go to one, I mean, I can remember a couple local ones you'd go to, and they weren't really local, they were, but and it was just like I finished in 25 minutes. And I'm like, had a little bit of mud on me and finished in 25 minutes. I'm like, that's crazy. So then I go and do, some of the bigger races, and all of a sudden I'm out there for 5 hours doing, what was a 5K, you know. It's like, okay,
Yes.
this is a huge, so it's really cool to see the structure going into it of like, okay, to make this, and a lot of people don't think about that. That's why a lot of races, the bigger brands have gone, okay, we're doing a 5K, a 10K, and whatever, because if you don't have a structure,
Mhm.
you can't become like Olympic stuff like that, because there's got to be, it's like with triathlon, there's an Olympic distance because that's the structure that they use. And that's one thing a lot of people just don't think about, that background where you've got to come up with that structure and agree with it and do all of that. So kudos to all of you for putting in all that time to do that.
I think it's really going to come together to be an amazing event. It's not just a Phoenix race. I really want to highlight that aspect of it because we have, of course, our Phoenix obstacles, but we also have Mythic Race coming with obstacles, Bear Crawl OCR coming, Emerald Coast Mud Runs coming, Savage Race is coming. Warrior Tech is coming, War X is coming. So, you're not coming to run a Phoenix race, you're coming to run a true national championship with all these brands coming together to give you a variety of events.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's going to be really exciting for some of the local folks that, our local Chattanooga event. Well, we'll see a lot of first timers and we poll all of our racers. So about 54% of our first timers go on to run a Spartan or Savage race. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of a gateway into the sport when you have the local smaller races like that. But for them to be able to come out and see and experience all these race brands is going to be amazing. And hopefully it'll get some new blood in the sport and get people pumped up and excited about it.
Which I think is great. And I mean, I agree. I know we've had that conversation before. We've talked about how it's the local races that keep that funnel into the bigger ones that keep them alive. And I mean, it's one of those things that we all keep hoping that they figure that out. And whatever. We won't go deep into that whole rabbit hole, but because that's how I started. I started with a couple local fun ones, ones that don't even exist anymore. I have medals out there that I've had friends look at my medals and they're like, "What is this?" And they're like, "What's a gladiator rocking them?" That doesn't even exist anymore. But it's the first OCR I did in I think 2011 or
Yes.
2010. So there's a bunch of those that just don't exist anymore. But it's those little ones are the ones that fuel the big ones. So it's one of those things that I think people forget about.
Oh, exactly. And that's kind of why we got into OCR as far as race owners, was to try to save some of the smaller events that were going out.
Hmm.
Um, as you know, Jason, it was a master carpenter, and I was the COO of a marketing firm, and we hosted large scale events, corporate events. So it was, hosting a as Joey calls it, cat herding, cat herding in the corporate world, and race directing is very similar. You have similar duties. It's just I enjoy obstacle course racing a whole lot more than I do trade shows. So
Oh
worked
yeah.
out pretty well for me. But when we were given our first opportunity to take over a race and we built it, we just fell in love with it and knew immediately that's what we wanted to do. And we had a huge team. We were the OCR addicts, and our team was 400 people deep at that time. So it even just having our team show up for a race, we ended up with a good
Yeah.
crowd.
Which is amazing. And I mean, with your marketing and Jason's, carpentry. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. With those two combined, I mean, it makes a great team because you market it, you help direct it, you do all that, and then his brain comes up with these insane obstacles and doesn't just come up with them, he can put them together.
Absolutely. And sometimes we have to bring him down a notch, but because he does have some great and wild ideas. I think honestly, Mount Fike. Have you seen Mount Fike yet?
No,
I think that's
I have not been lucky enough to bid out to one of your races, but I'm
uh Mount Fike is
fingers.
probably one of my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that one. But yeah, fingers crossed, I'll be in Georgia. So,
Yay, awesome.
but if I make it, it'll just be for Saturday. But
Okay. Well, hey, one day is better than none.
yeah,
There's
it's been rough. I right now I'm working week, so and I'm hoping that work. I'm like, because I'm supposed to be off the next week too to go to Dallas. So I'm kind of like, hey, I'm gonna need like 2 Saturdays. So deal. Yeah.
And also people who are just, curious about the event can go to our website, phoenixraceocr.com. There's lots of information on there. There's hotel links. The city has been amazing, welcoming us in and getting all kinds of hotel discounts. I mean, there's hotel discounts on there for $80 a night, I think. And they're all very close to the venue. That's a huge aspect of this, is that you're not going to be out in the middle of nowhere where you've got to drive 35, 40 minutes to get to the venue. You've got restaurants of all sorts right there in Dalton. We're 80 miles from the Atlanta airport, 30 miles from the Chattanooga airport. So it's a very accessible venue. And I love that about it. We've been to races where we drove and there was no cell service, and your GPS is trying to get you to your Airbnb, and or you're on back roads forever, and
Hmm.
you have no idea where you're going. And then, you can't stay close to the venue because there's nothing there. So yeah, I'm very excited about the ability to be in a city that is supportive of the event and has plenty for the racers, plenty of places to eat. We've got an academy there, somebody's gonna forget something nonetheless.
Oh yeah.
So we've got, just about anything you need right in town. And we're, like I said, short drive to Chattanooga too. So
Which is awesome because that's one thing I've done. I learned long ago. Like when you look at the menu and see where it really is. Because I've been to enough races where they're like, oh yeah, it's in, this city, and then you get there and you're like, it's 2.5 hours that way.
yeah,
You're like,
yes. Yeah,
that's
there's a lot of races in Nashville
yeah,
that are a couple hours from Nashville, at least an hour and a half. We've
yeah.
experienced that as well. Yeah, I mean, this one could technically be called Atlanta, but but we are, a good from the airport about an hour and 20 minutes, because it's on the south end of Atlanta, but from the heart of Atlanta about an hour. So yeah, it's a very accessible race, straight up I-75. So I think it's going to be a perfect location. The weather's going to be cool enough that you're not out here in this disgusting heat we've had this past week, 98 degrees and 89% humidity. And so if by October, all that'll be gone, and we'll be bringing on the hoodie mornings. So, and the festival, I'm really excited about the festival because not only will we have all these para athletes there, but, and so, the groups of folks that will be attending are just so diverse because you have your para athletes, you have your people who have never ran an obstacle course race before, and then you have your elite athletes that are running for the money and running for the podium. Um, but then you've got this massive festival where all these race brands have set up. So you can go and learn about all the different race brands. And then, of course, our merch is going to be top notch and just
Oh yeah.
excellent. So we're going to have a great merch tent. All of that's already been ordered, and got some awesome hoodies coming, and some trucker caps I'm really excited about. So, it's just gonna be a fun atmosphere out there, supporting just racers, supporting other racers, and having a good event that is smoothly ran, barring no craziness, because Mother Nature loves me. We all know that.
Oh yeah.
Between hurricanes and floods and snowstorm in April in Georgia, which we never have had until I had an event. Um, barring none of that, we should have an awesome. It should be an awesome event.
It sounds like it. I mean, that's one of those, like I said, I mean, fingers crossed I'll be there for Saturday, hopefully. Um, just trying to figure out the last little logistics on it. It sounds like an amazing event, and it's from a lot of people don't realize too. This is a first one, and continue on. I mean, this is gonna be one of those things. This is the event where you go through. I mean, you've ran enough events, kind of you have an idea of how they go, but still, this will be like that learning. Like, okay, here, this is it. Next one will be next year will be a little different, and everything like that, especially with the figuring out the side and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this grows and where it goes from here.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, the end goal is to promote the sport of OCR to become an Olympic sport as a standalone event. We are making an appearance in the pentathlon with the 70-meter course in 2028, but the goal is for 2032 to be a standalone sport. And that's why we're hosting national championships, and that's why we're having a Team USA. That's why we have World OCR and World Obstacle, and that's why all of this exists, is because that's the end goal for not just me here in Georgia, but worldwide.
Mhm.
I've been on a number of Zoom calls this week with people all over the world talking about the sport and how we can bring this to fruition, and this is a step in the right direction for that, for sure.
It is, and it's one of those things I think that's, like we mentioned, getting everything standardized. And that becomes a little bit difficult too when you're not just talking USA, you're talking US, you're talking England. And it's one of those things that, I've heard like honestly, European, a lot of their OCRs are completely different. And I've heard good and bad both ways, but that they're completely different than what we do. A lot of people that have gone over there and they're like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting. This is a completely different type of thing. So and that's why we got to get them standardized. Say, okay, this is what I would see. Or just like we have standardized what a 5K is. A marathon is, 26.2 miles,
Mhm.
and those are standard distances. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between what happens in races in America and races in European countries, especially, are insurance restrictions. The insurance restrictions after 2020 came down on us hard. And that was a reason a lot of brands, yes, 2020 was hard for everybody in every
Hmm.
industry, period. But even if you were still having events, your insurance was so high. I mean, we held events in 2020. I was not, I felt like at that point people needed this for their mental health, because a lot of
Yes.
people run OCR or run period for their mental health. And not only did we host a race in 2020, but we hosted a race that was sponsored by a hospital. So we did it carefully and safely. We were smart about it. We didn't put 300 people in the corral and tell them to go. But we had exponential insurance increases that year. We had to carry a COVID rider. And then in every event, when we go to buy our event policy, it's aside from our company policy, but when we go to buy our event policy, the COVID rates will determine if we have to carry a COVID rider too. So, the insurance in the US has become extremely expensive and extremely difficult for our industry. And I think that's one of the things that USAOCR eventually will bring to the table, just like USA Triathlon does, is some sort of insurance program, which would be wonderful for race owners. In the end, the racer will end up paying a membership fee to be. This is just my idea speaking. This is not the
Yeah.
committee speaking, but in the end, the racer will pay a membership fee for their insurance, but in reality, they're paying insurance anyway. You're
Hmm.
paying insurance at Spartan, Tough Mudder, Savage, My Race. You're paying insurance regardless. If my cost on the race is 65 and your insurance is $4, $69 is what you're paying.
Hmm.
And we've always tried to keep our races very reasonably priced, because that's one of the things that hurts so much. When I first started racing, I was a single mom of two and trying to keep up a household and pay the bills and travel and work, and um paying $150 to $200 for a race was tough for me. But it was also tough for me to take off work to go volunteer in order to race. So, there was a lot of balancing there where, sometimes I'd race and then volunteer so that I could race the next weekend. But so when we started our brand, that's one of the things that was really important to us, is for it to be affordable.
Yeah.
Like the most expensive, the national championship's a little bit different just because of you're getting a 15K. So that race is a little bit more expensive. I think it's 149 right now. But I do know that there is a code FALL, FALL, that's out right now, good through for a few days at least. And that'll save you 20%. And then most of our races cap out at $79 in the competitive heat and $69 for the open heat. So, we really try to keep it affordable, have good swag that fits, so that you typically wear a medium. You don't have to go in there and try to get a 2X. We do our very best to not ever run out of t-shirts. That's that's happened once to us ever, but you're a guessing game 100% on the t-shirts, because our shirts are different for every event, so we can't just carry them over.
Yeah.
And we try to give a great racer experience, period. And that is one of my top priorities as in our mission as a company, is for the racer to walk away with a great racer experience. Number one. Number two, be all inclusive so that anybody can do our race. It doesn't matter if you haven't got off the couch for more than 5 minutes, or if you are a para athlete, amputee, or the fastest runner there is out there. Anybody can do our events. It's all
Yeah.
inclusive 100%. And as you know, we have an adaptive athlete services coordinator who takes care of any adaptive athlete that wants to come out and do the race, whether they have their own team and helpers or they need some assistance. He takes care of finding all that for them so that we can include everyone. And he's
Yeah.
also doing that for the national championship race too, so that those athletes can come out and compete.
Yeah. And I know for the 3K and I think the 5K, both races on Saturday, I think we have quite a few. And I think that he's obviously he wants more because, so we can make sure we have everybody, but we're doing as many as we can to make sure the para athletes have everything they need. So,
Absolutely.
that's,
And I think there may be some para athletes coming that aren't necessarily familiar with More Heart Than
mhm.
Scars, but that More Heart Than Scars may end up working with,
Yeah.
just because they don't have guides that would travel with them. So, that's just, to me, it's just amazing to see people come together from all over the country to help make this happen, number one, and get these para athletes through this course, number two. And there's athletes, I kind of scroll through the roster occasionally and look at who all's registered, and we have some of the top 10 racers in the country registered. And then we have folks in wheelchairs registered. We have a number of amputees registered in that category. So all of that's just very exciting to me, to be able to bring all of that together in one place, and 2 days, 3 races. I'm just fired up.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's going
If
to be
you
awesome.
can't.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. Um, I know you put a lot of time into it, and I know there's been other people that have, been helping and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's going to come together amazingly. So,
It is. It's going to be awesome. And the 5K will have a different finisher shirt and medal than the 3K and 15K, of course, because it is a different titled race. So, you're not going to show up, and if you run those two races on Saturday, you're not going to end up with two of the same medal and two of the same shirt.
yeah.
We don't like that.
No, no, yeah. Like I said, some hope is that I can get there for those two, and then have to fly back in the morning. But But hey, if I can get there for 2, it's better than nothing.
That's right. There's tons of direct flights out of Chattanooga too, depending on what's your closest airport?
Houston.
Houston. I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
And
But
well,
I
I
know
looked at Chattanooga, and there wasn't a lot going to Chattanooga. It was basically flying into most of them were flying into Atlanta, and that's one of the reasons too. Is I was looking at the difference between flying out Sunday morning and Sunday night was about $400.
oh wow.
So that's why I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to fly out in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah,
The good thing about the Atlanta airport on a Sunday is in Sunday morning it's not busy. Sunday night is crazy.
yeah.
So
So
that's
and it'll be, but it, team and do all that stuff. It's been, I haven't done a lot the next in Dallas, but whatever. It'll all be fun. So it'll be good to get back out there. I've been doing a whole lot this summer, so it's been kind of a summer of not doing a whole lot of racing. So mainly just working, and I'm wiped out.
I feel that. I feel that on every level.
Yeah,
My personal fitness, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to at least get some better stretching and a little more cardio in after we hit hard up until June 15th to fit in that wedding dress. And then after that we went to Europe for a couple weeks and it was no holds bar. All
oh
the
yeah,
but the crazy thing is we would walk 18 to 20 miles a day. But I guess my body just wasn't used to eating like that and eating all you're walking down the street and there's all these cafes with these beautiful pastries and cheesecakes and I couldn't say no. It was my honeymoon.
yeah,
So
yeah.
gained
You're
a little
supposed to
weight on
enjoy
my
that.
honeymoon.
Hey, if
Yeah,
you didn't gain a little weight on your honeymoon, you didn't do it right.
that's right. That's right. But it was a little surprising with I think we logged almost 100 miles walking
Yeah,
in the 12 days we were there. So yeah, and there was 3 days where we didn't walk much at all. We did a motorized tour. So, it
yeah.
was a lot of walking, but we enjoyed
That
it.
is a lot
We
of walking.
we walked all over London, literally all over London.
That's awesome. Someday I want to get there.
It's beautiful. We really enjoyed it, and it was my second time there, and because I do a lot of business in London with a finisher shirts and that kind of thing. So I'd been over once before for that, but yeah, it is truly a beautiful place, and we got to see the king, so that was really cool.
Oh wow, that is pretty cool. That's awesome. Yeah, for me, I'm only tired because my company since pretty much the beginning of June, I've been working 6 days a week, 10-hour days.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and it gets to you, and people don't realize how tired I am after work, and I don't want to come home and do any cardio. I don't want to just beat, but I got to get back into it because my plan is I'm doing the Ironman again next year. So I need to drop about 30 pounds and get back to where I should be so I can do the Ironman the correct way. So
You can come to Chattanooga and do our Ironman. It's awesome. I always try to go out and support or volunteer.
when, oh yeah, the Ironman out there. I've thought about it. I want to get the Galveston one out of the way, the half iron. I ain't ready for a full yet because I ain't that crazy. But the half iron at Galveston, get that done. I got it done last year, just not in the time I wanted. I want to get that under my belt, and then I think I'm gonna look into some of the other ones after that.
Yeah, honestly, Chattanooga, like they just changed the bike route for Chattanooga, and I think there's 4,600 feet of elevation gain on that bike route. Yeah.
And see, that's what
So
I got
it's
to
good.
get used to. Because Galveston, there was 120.
Yeah, well, I mean, ours wasn't anywhere near that, and then
Yeah.
they changed it up for this fall race, and it's going to be massive. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Hopefully, it doesn't take out many folks, but yeah,
Hopefully
if you
not.
don't train for that altitude on the bike, that's going to be a toughie. But
And that's the hard part living in Houston now. There's no altitude. Like one of my
speaking of
friends is like,
altitude,
"Hey, let's go up this hill. Let's go over here. It's a hilly trail." And I'm like, "It was 110 feet. What was the hill?"
yeah, you can expect some altitude for the national championship race. It is at Dugout Mountain, so there will be nice little some nice little inclines there, and you can probably expect to go up. And so it's not a Colorado mountain, it's not a Smoky Mountain, it's not even an Adirondack mountain. Our mountains aren't that big, but by the time you go up and down it several times, you're gonna feel like you've
Oh yeah.
climbed the Rockies. But the venue itself is beautiful. It's a historical preservation site. There was a Civil War battle fought there. And
No.
you'll literally run by the stone forts that were built more than 100 years ago for the Civil War. So,
Wow.
get a little bit of history in there too. So it's going
That's
to be,
awesome.
and the views from the top, they call it Buzzard's Roost, and just the views from up there are amazing. You can see several states from the top of that
Wow.
perch, the summit, if you will. It's not really
That'll
a
be
big enough
awesome.
mountain to call it a summit, but I felt like it was the summit when I got up to the top.
So now you're scaring me. Oh no.
Nah.
That's what got
You
me
need-
when I went back to Washington in June. I did it's called the Sea, but I've never wanted to do it. I'm like, I don't want to do that one. And that sure. First one, it's 9 miles out, 9 miles back with 4,000 feet elevation gain. So I know, but I mean, I got to the top and the picture I have from the top is now the background. I love the picture. I've had people be like, you need to have that one like framed. And it's a beautiful picture at the top of this thing, but I wanted to die. There was snow at the top. So in the middle of June, I was playing in that's how high that went. That went. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, I don't like to climb the mountains. I like to run down them.
Yeah.
I don't like to climb up them. Not at all. I've seen Jason struggle at Stratton Mountain too many times at World Championships to want to attempt anything like that.
Yeah, that's things I do like about Houston. It's like no hills at all. Like when they say there's a hill, it's like it's a bump. So I'm like cool. Yeah. Because like I said, the Galveston Ironman, 54-mile bike ride, 120 feet elevation gain. That's only because there was a bridge. The whole
Yeah.
elevation gain was going up the bridge. Other than that, it was flat on the beach the whole way. But
Sorry, my dog's losing his mind right now.
oh, it happens. My dogs do that too, but it happens.
Had to mute real quick because he was losing his mind. Nobody's paying him attention.
Oh yeah,
Um,
we have one like that.
yes, he's 100 pounds of needy
Yeah.
boy. But sorry. So yeah, the that'll be interesting to see how the Chattanooga Ironman plays out with that elevation. And the the course at the national championships, the top to bottom, the elevation's only about 1,400, 1,500 feet. But you can rest assured Jason's not just gonna make you go up at once, especially
Well,
that 15K.
yeah, I'm sure. Good thing I'll be gone before the 15K. Oh,
And
yeah.
technical trails, like there is gonna be some pretty technical trails too, which I love. I love a technical trail. A boring trail, a flat trail is a boring trail to me. So I love the technical running. So I'm really looking forward to see what he comes up with on that. And um, the obstacle placement also is one of his huge fortes as far as knowing what muscle groups to tax and when to tax
Yep.
them, and sometimes back to back.
Hmm.
So he's good at that. But, yeah, I think
Which
we're gonna have quite a few rigs as well. So that's gonna be awesome.
that'll be pretty cool. And that is one of those things that a good race director, when they're putting it together, a race designer, however you want to, when they're putting it together to put those obstacles that'll like smoke your arms through one thing, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, here's another one. Here's a hang obstacle, and you're like, oh no. So it's an obstacle that you've done 1,000 times and you've beaten so many times, but now you're taxed and your arms are smoked. Um, I've been there on a couple of them where all of a sudden it was ones that I'm like, I've done this, thousands of times without a problem, but I can't lift my arms.
Yeah, he has definitely been known to put a farmer's carry before a rig. And we don't do short carries by any means.
No.
So but I try to stay out of that, out of his realm of what he does on the course build, because it tends to get me in trouble. And it's caused a little marital strife if I try to butt in on the course build. So I
So what you're
stay out of
saying
that.
is that when we're out there cussing on the trail, to cuss Jason
That's
the whole
right.
way.
That's all him. That is all him. Now,
Yeah.
if you have to stand in line, or there's something wrong with your registration, or you don't like your medal or your T-shirt, that's all me.
Yeah.
My work is leading all the way up to race day, and race day is his day to shine. Now I'll be the loudmouth on the microphone, of course, because he hates attention, and you can count on one hand how many times you've seen him on a podcast, because it's zero, because he's never done one. I
One of
thought he
these
was
days we'll
about
fix that.
I thought he was about to make a guest appearance. He came over, but he quickly exited. Up.
Didn't we?
Oh,
No, well, maybe we didn't get him on one. I thought we tried once.
yeah, there he is.
There he
There's
is.
the
Hi, Jason.
sadistic course builder himself.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's all you get, though. That's all you can see.
All right. We got to.
Yeah, he's not a real talkative fella.
No, but I've done a race with him. I know he's
Yeah.
he's not very talkative, but when he does talk, you should listen.
Yes, that is true. That is true most of the
So most of the time. So
time. I can't give him too much credit. I gotta live with him. Don't make his head that big, Mike.
yeah, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, I was a little loopy though. I mean, it was the world's toughest, and I think it was like lap 4 or 5 that he was with me. So I'm yeah. There's
He said it was the last lap of the day. Is what Jason said.
yeah. So yeah, I was barely like coherent at that point.
Yeah, I think at that point everybody was a little incoherent.
Oh yeah,
And cold.
and cold.
And cold, very cold.
And I'm planning on doing it again this year for some insane reason. But
Jason was planning to do it this year, but I don't know that it's going to work out with our schedule, because we've just got so much going on. Starting Thanksgiving with our turkey trots, and then we have the Run Santa Run every single weekend in December. So it's just a lot of travel for us during that time. So our Whiskey Run series is going on now. So we're traveling September for it, and then October is national championships in our Seven Bridges Marathon, and then we'll be doing all of our turkey trots and Santa runs. So I'm not sure that he's going to be able to fit that one in this year.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look. I got to go on your website and look, because my goal is it's a 5K in every state. So I got to
Yeah.
look, because I know on your website I think I can cross off a whole bunch of states. But
Hey, if you're looking to do just a basic 5K in Georgia, you need to do the Dolly Dash. That is the funnest race we have. It's
well, I
Mother's
should be
Day
able to
weekend.
hopefully be able to cross them off this weekend, or in October. But
Oh,
I mean,
true.
it's one of those ones. I mean, some of them, if it's a good state, I might go back twice. But
Yeah.
there's a few that I'm looking at, like, I don't know if I ever even want to go to that state. But see, I'm gonna have to do like Warx, because that's like the only, because they're in Ohio, I think, and that's the only reason I'd want to go to Ohio. So
Now we have Black Swamp in Ohio, but
oh,
I will
there you
say
go.
this. If I had to pick one of the two races, I would go to Warx, because that is easily my favorite race, period, aside from ours.
Well, see,
Warx is just amazing.
the only problem I've had with Warx is I'm trying to remember. I think it's the same weekend as Sisu every year. And
So they changed their weekend. They were in October, and now they're in June.
yeah, and that's what I mean. They're the same weekend in June as Sisu. So,
Ah, okay.
and that's a race that I do every year, and I have a team for it every year, and so it's a tough one for me to be like, oh, I'm not gonna, because the team's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think they backed up their date this for 2025 because there was a conflict last year. So I'll have to check on their date and let you know
I'll
what
have
it
to
is.
check on
But
it and hopefully it fixes because I need to hit one of the Ohio ones. I keep looking at it like there's no reason to go to Ohio, so I got to find something.
that is definitely, and then, I don't know if you get into the Amish and that kind of thing, but there's an Amish hardware. It's really
Hmm.
neat to see their way of life. Just gives you a different perspective. So it's definitely an Amish country. So that's and they're right on the West Virginia border. There's a casino. There's more to do than just
Oh
go
yeah,
there, just go to Thurman,
it's
Ohio.
just I don't know.
But
Ohio just sounds weird.
and if you're going to Alabama has a couple great races. I mean, obviously we have a race in Alabama,
Oh yeah,
but there's the Barbarian Challenge is a very
I've seen
unique
that.
event.
It's another one I've been looking at
Yep.
because it's one of those things like a lot of people like when I drove. In fact, it's the day we're recording is the day I 1 year anniversary of me getting to Texas when I moved down here. When we drove through, I got a bunch of like virtual medals.
Uh-huh.
And as we went through states I've never like ran in, I literally would pull over somewhere at a park, wherever I could, and just go run a 5K.
Oh my
Take
gosh.
the medal and be like, whoop, there we go. Got my 5K. And I hit, what was it? Idaho, Utah. There was 6 of them that I did on the drive down. So my wife was getting annoyed. I'm like, oh, we're in New Mexico now. I got to jump out of the car and go run a 5K. I think New Mexico was the one I did in like a picnic area on the side of the road and literally was just running laps around like the
Oh
picnic table.
my gosh. That's great. That's great. Oh, yeah. And then we have a Tennessee race. So, North Carolina has some great ones if you haven't been out there.
I did the North
Um,
Carolina Ultra this year with
okay.
Marla.
Yes,
So
yes. Um, I don't know what to say about Mississippi.
mm.
Like
I-
we tried. Mississippi's it's not an obstacle course racing town. I mean,
it's one of the,
we did
I just have to find
Mississippi.
like drive through some of these while I'm on my way to one of your races and just like go do something.
Yeah, no, I can give you some stopping points to run at, but yeah, we hosted in Mississippi 4 years in a row, and it just never took off, never got the traction. It wasn't supported locally, by the city officials it was, but by the local residents it wasn't. They were just not into fitness. So
Hmm.
perfect venue,
And that's
3,600 acres, beautiful.
and those are the ones that are always the most frustrating. It's like everything's perfect, but you don't get the support.
Yeah.
And I think that's always the tough one where it's like, what do you do?
Hmm. Yep, that is tough for sure. And if we could take that venue and put it somewhere else, put it up here, we would have a dream. It'd be
Yeah.
perfect. But it just it's Mississippi just didn't work out for us. And we're learning, I
Yeah.
mean, we're learning what states work and what don't, and what, where we need to be, and rolling with the punches. A lot of brands have not been able to roll with the punches, and we've seen some of the bigger players head out, and that's scary. But as our business plan has just been scaled back, not, you know,
Yeah.
as to not go out of business. So rather than hosting 2 events that are within 3 hours of each other in one year, we cut that back and we'll host one. And so we would draw the crowd from that we would draw from both of those events to one event, with less expense. I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of participants don't think about is the cost to actually host an event.
Oh yeah.
It is through the roof.
Well,
Um,
that was a big thing living in the Pacific Northwest when I still lived up in Seattle, and I give people all the time, why doesn't this race brand comes here? Why don't these I'm like, do you know how hard it is to get all of that equipment from where they are to where we are? And
yeah,
it's like, you don't really think about it till like when I drove from Seattle to to Houston, and I've done it twice now. It's a horrible drive, you know.
yeah,
But I can imagine taking, there's a reason why some of the bigger races they have like, okay, this team covers this part of the United States, this team covers this part, because the shipment of all of that equipment, a lot of those bigger brands, when they pull up, they're pulling up with 3 or 4 semi trucks full of gear.
yeah.
And a lot of the
And some
smaller
of them,
brands, they can't afford that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't do semis. We have a 26-foot trailer and a 14-foot trailer. And but now most of our events are built on site. So
Hmm.
like Ohio stays there. So we just take the 14-foot trailer with the rig, four-wheeler, and go. We don't leave our rig set up anywhere just because it's our showcase obstacle and we definitely would just die if something happened to it. So
Yeah.
it stays here. But we do take the 26-footer out if we have to, but it's mainly used to store obstacles in, and then we'll take it out for the national championship race just because we're gonna have to pull out every obstacle we own for 15K.
Yeah.
Because we definitely love a obstacle heavy race. We don't want to host a 15K with 15 obstacles. That sucks. Nobody wants to do that.
No. No, and I mean, and that's what a lot of people, like we were saying, they just don't think of the cost of it. I mean, it's one of those things. That's too why you were mentioning the insurance, and everyone's like, why are the costs of these races going up? Because the insurance companies are gouging, and unfortunately, that gouging has to be passed on so that the company
Mhm.
can survive. And it's one of those things that just people don't see that.
Yeah, and we've not had a price increase. We've never increased our prices, but our cost per runner has increased by $22. I mean,
Yeah,
that's insane. When you think about a $69 race and your cost per, and then our races start at $39 when they open. So, our cost per racer averaging in the mid 40s. Well, obviously that's mathing is not mathing,
no,
but we're doing everything we can to still try to keep our costs low and make it affordable for everybody because it's a tough economy for then everybody,
it is.
unless you're in pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, the Americans or an insurance.
Yeah. Insurance is doing good, pharmaceuticals are doing good. And if you have the right stocks, you're all right, you're set. But the rest of us are out here like, how are these groceries $500 every week?
Yeah. It's insane. It's one thing that just kills me too. Like once we moved to Texas, it's like, the gas prices and everything down here. I'm like, oh my God. Like I had to
Ooh,
go back up to, Seattle a couple times this year to visit and do a couple races up there. And I went to fill up my Jeep and I'm like, oh gosh. Because it was like $4.20 a gallon. And I'm like, and of course, I'm like, I left the wrong vehicle in Seattle
yeah.
because I left my Jeep up there and it gets like 18 miles to the gallon. I've got a Forte down here that gets 40. And I'm like, I think I did that backwards. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just one of those things. And I mean, it's just the cost of things. And like, that's the other thing, gas. If you have to bring that, 26-footer,
Oh
your
yeah.
gas mileage just tanked because,
Yeah.
pulling all that weight and everything else. So, I mean, there's a lot of back expenses that people don't see.
Oh yeah, and that I mean, like we did the math on driving it to Ohio because we the race truck is a F-350 and long bed extended cab. So the truck itself is like 25 foot long. Then you add the trailer behind it. So and it's diesel. So and diesel is a good bit more expensive than
Yeah.
gasoline now. Um so it you can easily run into $1,500 in diesel fuel just to get there.
Hmm.
Period. And then when it's a race that's not close to home, you have lodging expenses for us and build crew and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, it's the sport itself has suffered a lot of um price increases, just difficult things on race owners,
Hmm.
and I understand why a lot of people aren't carrying on. I really do. You right now, if you the folks who are race owners have a mad passion for this, period, because they're not making any money at it.
Yeah.
Not as not enough to sustain a full-time employment.
No,
Um,
it's not. And I mean, that's one thing a lot of people like when I raced, when I was doing, so many races and, 15, something like that a year. Everyone's like, how do you afford it? I'm like, my wife doesn't race, but she always travels with me. So almost every race brand has a thing that if you volunteer, you get a free race. She volunteers, I get the free race.
Yep.
And we did it for a long time where all of a sudden she would go with me. She would volunteer while I'm racing. I would get a free race and we use it for the next one, and I did that quite a bit. And finally, she just got to a point though, because certain race brands made volunteering not so inviting that she
Yeah.
stopped doing it. So, and that's kind of when all of a sudden I stopped racing as much because it's like, oh, I can afford this.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, our program is so easy for people to volunteer. Like, you can volunteer for one of our road races and run for free in an obstacle course race. And we have road races all over the place. I mean, we're in Orlando, Augusta, Memphis, um, Little Rock, I mean, Louisville, just everywhere. So,
I can just follow
you
you around and
know,
do your road races.
yeah, yeah, you can.
Mm,
But, we've got people, we're in Atlanta this weekend and we've got some folks just coming to volunteer for that. And then you stand there and hand out medals for 5 hours and you get a free race. It's fun too. I mean, who doesn't love to hand out medals or
oh
hand,
yeah.
hand out waters at a water station? We don't, our volunteers, we don't allow volunteers to really to build. That's just not very safe for
No.
us. I know other race brands will have volunteers on build, and now in Ohio we do have some volunteers that build up there, but they're the previous race owners, and they're also a couple folks that are very skilled in construction. So, but for the most part, we have a paid build crew that comes, and um, we try to give our volunteers more of the cush jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm one of those ones people always crack me up because they think because I'm in construction that I can build things. And I'm like, no, I'm in safety because I'm the guy you don't want touching things. So, you know, I get all the time people like, you've been in construction for like years. I'm like, demolition. I can wreck anything you want. But,
Yeah.
and then I went into safety, and the safety, we don't work. We just walk around and say, stop being dumb. That's all we do. So put on your glasses, put on your hard hat. What are you doing? You
Yeah,
know,
don't come to our build.
no.
Jason, he hates a hard hat. He was in commercial
Mhm.
construction for a very long time and wore a hard hat and
Oh, yeah.
safety glasses for a very long time. And so he's
But I'll be honest, looking at most of what you'd be doing, I'm like, it's to protect your head from things above you. I mean,
yes.
in most cases, unless you're building the rig, there's nothing above you.
Yeah.
That's what always killed me. People are like, oh, put on your hard hat. I'm on the roof. What is this
Yeah,
protecting me from?
he is an extremely skilled carpenter and woodworker, and the company that he left when he went full time with the race brand has called him on some special projects, and he went and helped him out on one of the owner of the company is building a lake house, and he asked Jason to come help out with the specialty trim, and Jason walked up in there in a pair of shorts, and they said, "Well, hey, Jimmy Buffett," because they're a corporate construction or a commercial construction company, and pants are the rule. But he's an independent contractor now, so
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
likes his shorts.
Oh no, I get it. I love my shorts. I wish I could get away with it. I've thought about it, but as a safety guy, they look at me funny when I do things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It happens though. You gotta have fun with it. I know the last
That's
company I worked at, I was known for I have a really big collection of Hawaiian shirts. And I would wear them to work all the time, and they were just random ones. Like I have ones that are like because from Seattle Seahawk fan, so I have Seahawk ones, I have Seattle Mariner ones, and then I have ones from like the All-Star game. But then I have my wife got me one, which is my Facebook profile, I think right now, where it's like Bigfoot carrying pink flamingos, and all sorts. Another one with a raccoon sitting on top of like a something with a carrying American flag. There's a bunch of random ones that I just love. So I got known for those quite a bit to wear those to work. So
I love it. I love
it's
it.
like you knew the safety guy was coming when you saw the Hawaiian shirt.
I expect you to wear one to the national championships.
I should. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to figure out which one I would wear. So, because I did when I went to Sisu, that was a big thing. Because the big thing at Sisu, the big thing is the Bigfoot. So that's where I wore the Bigfoot carrying the pink flamingos when I got there. So
Yes.
I'll have to figure out which one. I think I know which one I'd wear. So
I should
You just
also
have to.
briefly mention before we wrap up that you can still get your USA gear at legendborn.com for the event. So Legendborn, of course, is the official jersey sponsor of the national championships, with Scimitar Sports being the official finisher shirt and merch gear. So really excited about the partnership with those sister companies. That's going to be some really good looking product. I can't wait to have that out. So
You just can need to have me a specially made, Hawaiian shirt for.
yeah, for sure. I can hook it out.
Right on. That'd be amazing. But yeah, no, and yeah, definitely go to Legendborn. I have, I think 4 or 5 Legendborn jerseys now. I have one that is lost.
Oh no.
I can't find, but it's one that I've had, God, for 7 years now. It was one of the very original, like, Legendborn ones from one of the teams that I used to be on, and for some reason, I just can't figure out where it was. I was hoping I'd find it when I unboxed everything after I got back down here, but I'm sure it's gonna randomly. I'll open a box and be like, "Oh, there it is." But I have what two or three BeastNet ones. I have more Heart Than Scars ones. So yeah, I think I need a USAOCR one though.
Hey, I know we've got some really good looking USA ones right now. There's the OCR WC ones on there, but then there's also just basic USA and Team USA. So we did outfit Team USA that competed in Costa Rica a couple weeks ago. So they were looking really good. And our design team is just amazing. So I'm obviously a part of Legendborn as well, and Scimitar Sports. So got a lot going on in that arena.
Oh yeah, you like we said before, you're busy. You're a busy person. You have a lot on your plate. So right on. Well, is there anything else you want to say to the listeners before we get out of here?
And other than use code FALL, go to phoenixraceocr.com, click on the events tab, and go to the national championships and check it out. There's a para page that's specifically for para athletes, and then there is a regular event page that will give you all the information, and your link to register is right there. Code fall is good for 20% off for just a couple days. So jump on that, and we can't wait to see you there. It's going to be an awesome event.
Sounds like it is. And while you're there, look at the other events
That's
that
right.
Phoenix raced and see what other ones might be close to you might want to go on vacation for,
That's right.
There's a
Yeah,
bunch of them.
We do host in some really cool locations, especially that South Alabama. Me and the girls always make a beach trip out of that. So
Yeah, like I said, there's a few states I want to hit, and I know if I look at your webpage, I'm gonna find those states that I'm missing. So because
we don't have our full schedule out yet. So
I'm
our
pretty
full
much missing
schedule.
everything east of me besides Florida and North Carolina now.
Well, you'll have to come to Murder Creek in Alabama. It's pretty cool. It's fun. We don't have our 2025 schedule set yet, just because all of our permits haven't come back yet. But we should have that set pretty soon.
Right on. Well, I can't wait to see where they're at and figure out where I'm going next year.
That's right.
All right. Well, as always, it's amazing talking to you, and I'm hoping
You too.
everything comes together correctly, and I see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike.
Right. Yep. Talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.